Hello everyone and welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm Avan Dabash. Now, have you ever imagined the terrifying possibility of losing years of precious memories, essential documents for work, and files that are completely irreplaceable? Picture a world where all your digital assets could vanish in the blink of an eye due to system failures, cyber attacks, or even simple human errors. The fear of losing valuable data is real and can strike you at any moment. Now, you might think that traditional hard drives or even cloud storage providers have you covered, but let's be honest, these solutions are not foolproof. As our digital lives continue to expand, we need faster access, more storage space, and absolute security for our data. Well, fear no more. For today on the Blockchain Startup Show, we present to you a cutting-edge solution that's transforming the way we store and secure our data. Introducing ARDrive, a company that's leveraging the power of Web3 and decentralized technology to bring you remote access, cost-effective storage, and nearly limitless scalability. So it's time to say goodbye to your fear of losing data and embrace the future with ARDrive. Please join me in welcoming Philip Materas, who is the founder and CEO of ARDrive. Phil, welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. Phil, I'd like to begin by asking you what the current state of data storage is from a consumer's point of view, and where does ARDrive really fit in?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, thank you for having me, Yvonne. From a consumer point of view, data storage has really come a long way with many options available for cloud-based solutions and maybe some at-home solutions. I've been working in the space for over 15 years, so I've kind of seen it grow from both an enterprise and a consumer point of view, I guess. And the options really range from big companies, that are, hosted out of Silicon Valley, like Microsoft, Google, or Dropbox, to maybe more slightly smaller, more boutique vendors that have particular strengths in certain areas of cloud storage, maybe like security or privacy, for example. However, these solutions can come with a number of limitations that we try to solve at ARDrive. And some of these limitations might include security concerns, high costs over time, or limited storage space, or worries about your data not being owned by you. So ARDrive is really designed to address these different limitations by providing a decentralized storage solution built on top of the Arweave blockchain. ARDrive is an easy-to-use app that lets anyone upload, download, or share their files forever. The files can be public or private, and if they're private, you are the only person who has access to those files until you decide to share it with your friends and family. And we think that from a consumer point of view, it's a very attractive option against some of those other cloud competitors.
So how does ARDrive really improve upon incumbents like Google Drive or Dropbox, which we're accustomed to using?
Yeah, so again, there are some limitations with those services, and we're designed to address those with our decentralized storage solution built on Arweave. So first, there's no delete button. Data that you keep or files that you store on ARDrive can't be removed by you or anyone else. There's no centralized entity controlling that data or your identity. You bring that information with you into our platform, and we don't collect anything else about you. Everything in ARDrive is open source. So I know not many people might be able to look at code, but it is there to look at and verify and validate, right? We're trying to be incredibly transparent with everything in the ARDrive platform, right? It's more than just a Dropbox. So whether you're uploading your personal memories or files, documents, or building a full Web3 application, ARDrive can make all that happen. And the last really cool thing I think about ARDrive is the application itself is as permanent as the data stored on it. So the ARDrive app is actually hosted on Arweave on this blockchain. So the app itself is immutable and will be accessible for incredibly long periods of time. So we really give people the choice of how they want to store their data and how to use the platform. And we think that, improves a lot on some of those incumbents like Google Drive and Dropbox.
Right, and Phil, ARDrive eliminates subscription fee. So how exactly do you make this possible?
Yeah, Yvonne, and that's really the beauty of it, and that's how I got into this whole ecosystem of permanent data storage. Um, RDrive, we really follow the model of the blockchain that we build on top of, which is Arweave. The revenue structure of Arweave is kind of follows this model of pay once, store forever. But how does that work? The Arweave network eliminates those subscription fees that you might see in traditional cloud storage solutions by having this unique economic model. The fees that you spend, part of that goes to the network or the miners that store that data for you and replicate it around the world and keep it cryptographically secure. But a bigger portion of that fee goes into this endowment, and that's used to pay for the storage of your file for 200 plus years. And all of this was put together by the core team that was responsible for the Arweave protocol forward research. So yeah, we built an application on top of that that allows you to take advantage of that model with a really easy to use interface for uploading and sharing your files.
And what's the kind of traction for ARDrive in terms of the data under management, the number of users that you currently have, etc.?
We founded ARDrive in the summer of 2020, and we really launched the first version of our app in 2021. And since then, we've seen some really good growth. Looking at some of the stats as of yesterday, we have around 11,000 total unique users. A little under 8 million or so transactions in the last 90 days out of 20 million or so transactions total. So those are transactions made to the network. In terms of data uploaded, around 12 terabytes total. In the last 90 days, around 2.5 terabytes. So we're definitely seeing an increase in usage over the last few months. If we look at our monthly active users, we're still around 400 to 500 MAUs out of that full total user count. And our most popular product is definitely the ARDrive web application, which also doubles as a native mobile app that you can find on your Android phones. We still have far to go on our journey. Obviously, we want to reduce some of the barriers of entry for using ARDrive. And yeah, those are the things that the team is working on every day.
Got it. And Phil, walk us through some of the interesting use cases that you have recently come across with users on ARDrive.
Yeah, one or two. Well, there's definitely a lot. And we've seen lots of great use cases for ARDrive, some that we've envisioned, and some we never could have imagined kind of, in our wildest dreams. Really, the immutability of the data uploaded to ARDrive is an important feature. And our users have told us that they're saving photos of apartments they move into, business receipts, personal and business websites, decentralized apps, final wills and testaments, just some examples of some of the data being stored on ARDrive. One of the core use cases, perhaps not the most exciting, is secure private storage. About 6% of all of the ARDrive data is private, so we can't see it. Nobody else can other than the user who's uploaded it. So yeah, we figure it's mostly used for those personal photos, movies, documents, and digital memories that people might want to collect. We've seen some business use cases for ARDrive, like a cryptocurrency accounting firm based out of the UK called Mina, who's been using ARDrive for secure collaboration between them and their customers. They share private documents back and forth for tax season. And then we've seen lots of Web3 applications and platforms built as well. I think one of the coolest ones that I've seen is this real-time procedurally generated, audio video engine for this Grammy-nominated musician that uses the flexibility of building on top of ARDrive to build this whole app that is a never-changing video of music and these different images that they built into an NFT application. So really cool to see things like that, as well as fully on-chain video games and lots of other NFT art projects that are have their data stored on ARDrive, but are tokenized on other blockchains like Ethereum or Solana or Flare, etc. So really cool things. The list is ever growing, and yeah, always fascinated to learn about what people are doing with the platform.
Well, on that note, let me slip into a very quick break and we'll be right back as we continue our conversation with Philip Materas from ARDrive. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Blockchain Startup Show. Here with us today, we have Philip Materas. He's the founder and CEO at ARDrive, the company that's leveraging the power of Web3 to build the storage of the future. Now, Phil, you've recently launched mobile support on the Google Play app. What has feedback been like from your users?
Yeah, Yvonne, the Google Play Store was getting our app launched there was a monumentous occasion for us. So far, the uptake has been pretty great. We have, I think, 4.7 stars with really good feedback around how easy it is to log in. We have a nice biometrics feature, log in with your thumbprint or your face, and how the UI is very intuitive. It's not all positive feedback. You know, there's some performance issues that have been spotted and some requests for things that we don't have yet, like light and dark mode. We always listen to our community and we're always taking that feedback to heart and prioritizing it against, you know, all the other things going on, and have already been working on folding in some of those changes. And similar to our web application, the SDK, the mobile app itself for Android, is also stored on Arweave via ARDrive. So it's permanently available and, you know, immutable.
And how does ARDrive plan to onboard more users, especially enterprises?
Yeah, we have a few key steps that we're trying to follow in terms of onboarding, you know, the next 10,000, the next 100,000 users, as well as those enterprises who we really feel could benefit from long-term permanent storage. We want to make the app easier to log in, whether you're a new user or an existing user. We want to make the app easier to use once you're logged in, with more comforts that you would expect from this kind of cloud storage app, like image thumbnails or some personalization features. You know, making it easier to pay is also you know, something that we've been working through, because right now the Arweave token is the only currency accepted, which on one hand is the most decentralized and permissionless option, but also the most difficult for your everyday user or an enterprise. So we're looking at solutions to allow payments in fiat currencies, which should open the door to a lot more people. And yeah, for larger enterprises, we've learned that they have higher standards for app features, service, and support. So we're trying to work with them as best as we can to use the ARDrive platform for their long-term data retention.
Phil, what are some of the key challenges that ARDrive faces in becoming the go-to decentralized storage solution?
Yeah, ARDrive faces many of the similar challenges that other Web3 and cryptocurrencies are facing in terms of getting overall broad adoption. And these are challenges like educating users on managing their digital identity and the importance of owning it for a truly decentralized, in this case, permanent storage, and managing your keys and the responsibilities around that. Another challenge is making it easy to pay for this kind of storage for the everyday user. Again, it's this decentralized network, and it's kind of challenging to get the tokens needed to buy permanent storage. Navigating centralized app stores like Apple and the policies that they have against cryptocurrencies and applications that might use them is also a challenge. That's, you know, we mentioned before, we have an Android app. It's not available on iOS yet because of some of those policies that we're trying to, you know, ultimately work through with Apple and, you know, some of the other vendors that we're looking at. So these challenges are things that hopefully we can overcome. In some cases, they're in our control. In some cases, they're not. But you know, these are the things that keep our work really exciting, and I'm looking forward to, overcoming them.
Right, I'm sure those are some of the issues that need to be addressed. And what's the future according to you? What does that hold for ARDrive? Where do you see yourself, see the company in the next 5 years?
It's a tough one to think about, Yvonne. I'm really focused on getting things delivered now, but looking out 5 years, you know, maybe there's a best and worst case scenario. I guess the good news is ARDrive, it's a permaweb app. The mobile app is also uploaded onto the permaweb. So in the worst case scenario, the app lives on, and everybody can continue to use it and store their data. All of our code is open source, so the community can continue to build upon the apps and libraries we've created. In the best case scenario, which is of course what we hope and dream of, ARDrive becomes as ubiquitous as Google Drive, right? Sure, not all data is meant to be permanently stored. I think there's a lot of information that is flowing and fluent and temporary, but I think many of us have data they truly do not want changed and want to store forever. And we would hope that ARDrive is the #1 place to do that for anybody looking to take advantage of the permaweb. And once we break down those payment barriers and the other layers of infrastructure on top of our weave are scaled up and out, then I think really in 5 years it will just be as easy as uploading your files to a Dropbox.
And how has and how can ARDrive really help preserve history and culture, particularly in a place like India?
Yeah, so ARDrive's mission is to get permanent storage into the hands of everybody. And to do that, we really try to look at all regions and cultures across the world to accomplish that mission. For example, one of the things we do is we translate the app into different languages. So we support several of them, one of them being Hindi. The decentralized storage that ARDrive provides is a 0-to-1 innovation, right? And it's easy and intuitive for anybody to take control of their data without any kind of central party. So I think that's something that is also, maybe particularly exciting for Indian community members. And it really ensures that India's cultural values and history can be stored, right? And help empower individuals and communities in this digital age. And again, you can accomplish that either from your desktop or your Android phone. So yeah, we look forward to learning about the experience of using ARDrive from the Indian community.
Well, stay on with us, Phil. I want to bring on board another speaker to this conversation. Please join me in welcoming the COO and the Head of Investments for SGC, Ian Whitcop. Ian, welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. And let me start off by asking you this. What excites you the most about the data storage industry, and what role does decentralization have to play?
So much innovation going on in just the storage space in general. When you look at how storage used to be done, storage was done on solid state drives and hard disk drives and things like this. And then we kind of had a paradigm shift. And we started to do a lot more cloud computing and cloud storage and things like this. And at that point, kind of every company was doing digital transformations. And now, as our lives become increasingly more digital, we're on mobile more, we consume more, information on mobiles or in these digital areas. We're starting to have another paradigm shift. And we're starting to look at infrastructure that can support decentralized storage and some of these use cases that actually need decentralized storage privileges. Or kind of the primitives. So why decentralized storage? Well, there's a few selling points that are differentiators. Number one is resistance to hacks. Resistance to having content moderation on top of that. Another one is data permanence and just having data that is of a high durability. Another thing, open for everyone to use. You want a lot of innovation going on in an ecosystem, you make it you make it open source so people can build on it. And finally, just having a decentralized alternative is important to push these more centralized players to build better products.
I'm sure it is. And as an investor, did you relate to ARDrive's problem statement from a user perspective?
Absolutely. So what is that problem statement, or what are we talking about there? You want to leverage the permaweb in a way that is accessible to a regular person to let them use the permaweb. So as a user of this protocol, I want to store my valuable files permanently, and I want an easy solution to do this, and I want that to be free of kind of the rules and policies that a centralized entity might be put in place. And ARDrive hits all three of these things out of the park. So actually what I did, or how I use ARDrive, is, I use Google Storage as well, and I built in the redundancy of having all my important files that I have on Google Storage backed up on ARDrive. So these are kind of my important documents, my college documents, certificates, and my important memories and videos. things like this. So I have redundancy and I have some peace of mind knowing that they're there somewhere where they can't be taken with.
Right, and to the last question then, Ian, and this is actually for you as well as Phil. Now, we all know Web3 is making massive advances. It's promising to disrupt a lot of industries. So the question is, and I'm going to come to you first, Phil, what are you most looking forward to in the Web3 space in the coming years?
Well, the big one, just in a macro sense, is I think kind of the Web2 communities and Web3 communities are learning how to work together and understanding each other and having kind of bridging dialogue. So a lot of this is regulation that paves the way for kind of more experimentation among Web2 companies coming in the space, as we mentioned, Meta, and also individuals using these products more and more. So excited about kind of the regulatory side of this. The other big one is seeing these products mature. If you look at kind of an RWeave or an ARDrive, these are going from essentially on-chain, experiments in many ways to full-fledged product suites that cover, the needs of a consumer from end to end. I think when you look at blockchain technology or building blockchain solutions, it's a very technologically heavy space. So guys like Phil, guys like Sam at RWeave, they're focused on overcoming technical hurdles. So I'm excited to see these mature, excited to see the focus on UI, UX after kind of the technological hurdles are overcome. The use cases that can grow out of this, especially as we mentioned, supporting NFTs on something like RDrive or RWeave for Web3 gaming. I do think Web3 gaming is a path to get blockchain technology in the hands of a lot of consumers. And this is a key primitive that supports that. So a lot of exciting things happening that Phil and the team are working on right now.
Yeah, Avan, what am I looking most forward to in Web3? Shortest answer, I think, is the permaweb, right? And I think that's really due to the potential for innovation and disruption through these decentralized open source technologies that kind of make up Web3. And data is such an important commodity across all of it. And solutions like ARDrive allow anybody, right, people and businesses, give them a new way to store, secure, and share that data without any subscription fees. The RWeave network is like the hard drive that makes this happen and ensures the data is locked and replicated for the next millennia, right? But this permanent data forms kind of the backbone. We've said it a few times now. We call it the permaweb. This permanent data forms that backbone. So it's this excitement that keeps me motivated every day to build what we're building and get this permanent storage into the hands of everyone.
All right, Phil, Ian, it's been a pleasure having you on board. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the show. Do remember that you can join us on the next episode of the Blockchain Startup Show. And I want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in as well. And we've got yet another interesting Web3 company lined up for you next time. Till then, I'm Avan Dabash signing off.